All right. Well, hello, everybody. It's Kai Deering with Kai on the Fly, coming to you live every Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and all time zones in between. I'm excited because this is our season 2, 5th episode, and I try to bring to you incredible folks that I personally know, have personally worked with, or believe that they're up to some great stuff that will give you some amazing tips, tricks, and hacks on how to be the best you or the best business, because this is really designed for entrepreneurs. And today, my guest, as I introduce her and bring her up to the stage, is a woman I've had the chance to only meet virtually. It's so funny, but I feel like she's one of my besties now. It's interesting, this lockdown. We probably would never have connected this often because she's out in Santa Cruz and I'm here in Silicon Valley in the Sunnyvale area. So it's kind of nice to be able to really connect with people. But I love her background. She's got an integrated health background, but ended up as a high performance coach over 6 years ago. And I really like the fact that she really loves methodologies, and she participated in the Brandon Bouchard coaching training, and now is a high performance coach. And I love the fact that I've taken a class of hers as well. We did. I might be getting this wrong, but it's 10-year goal, and it was amazing. It was 2 hours, really interactive, learned a lot. And I love that she's committed to mostly women, but will help men as well, to these critical concepts of living up to your full potential, making sure you have enough joy in your life, and living life on your own terms. So please help me welcome to the front of the stage here, Crystal. I want to make sure I say your last name correctly. Can you say that for everybody real quickly?
It's Obregon.
Obregon. It's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I'm going to give you a big clap. Yay. Welcome to the show. Excited to have you. I know that, isn't that weird? We've never, ever physically met.
I know.
Crazy.
I know.
I like it. Like you said, we're getting a lot more done and doing a lot of things. But I do want you to share with everyone, because they're like, wait a minute. I know you were going to midwifery school at the time. You had this whole integrated health. They're like, wait, how did you end up going from there to this leap to high performance coaching? Please share with everyone how that transition happened for you.
Okay, I'll try and make it short, because I was studying midwifery. I was in midwifery school, and then my son, 6 years old at the time, he got sick. Luckily, nothing, we figured it out pretty quickly. And he had like big doses of antibiotics, which I think you should avoid mostly, but like I wouldn't do anything differently to give him those to cure the infection he had in his bone. And so everything was great. He started first grade. And then 3 weeks in, after he finished the antibiotics, he kind of like went haywire. Like he started having behavior problems. He couldn't like sit still, his attention, everything. And I tend towards the alternatives, whatever, but we were doing absolutely everything to try and figure it out. Cause I'm like, this isn't my kid. Like, yes, he's an active boy, but he can also draw for hours. So I was trying everything. We were doing play therapy. We were doing osteopathy, like flower remedies, just homeopathy, everything. And of course, we were giving him probiotics because we knew, like from the beginning, that it would affect his gut. But I ended up doing finally, like 5 or 6 months in, we changed schools, everything, doing this diet. And within a couple weeks, we saw a shift, really probably within a week. Cause I mean, his nervous system, like it's related to the gut, like he would chew on his shirts all the time. So he stopped that within a week. And like within like 6 months, it was kind of back to normal, pretty much for him. And I was just amazed, even though I was into health and we ate well, I was amazed to see this huge, huge shift. So I decided to study it further, and I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. Meanwhile, I had put my midwifery on hold, and I did it really for me, but then I decided to become a health coach. And then I decided that I really, even though it was integrative, So it brought all parts of your life in. I found that the areas that we focused on the most were actually those other areas. And then, so I looked for a life coaching program. Nothing really gelled with me until Brendan Burchard came out with this book, High Performance Habits. And I read that. Well, I read and listened to it in the car. And then I just did it again. And then I kind of got into that sphere of influence and went to one of his 4-day events and decided to become a coach because I really wanted to have more of that and bring it to more people and be around those kind of people that are trying to really up-level their lives, like in all areas.
I agree. And it looks like the audience does too with a thumbs up. And it's interesting too, because you turned what could have been incredible tragedy into your destiny and let it really shape and define where you were going to head with your life. And I think that's the most happiest people out there that have found something they're passionate about and just pursue it and tell. And I like the fact that you bring to that coaching that sort of medicinal piece there and the alternative health, because a lot of that, if you're in the wrong position, the wrong career, it can affect your health as well. And it's important to have all, areas where if you don't have your health, right, you don't have any. It doesn't matter if you could be the best high performance person if you're, suffering on the inside. So I really like that you bring that to your practice. Mm-hmm. And I know that's a big part of kind of who you are. And we were talking about how, morning routines are really everything. They would say, start your day off right. And I always thought that was so hokey pokey. But now the older I get, the more I'm like, wow, there is a lot of science to that. So share with folks if they are maybe struggling day to day, with energy or, finishing the day. What are some of your best practices for your morning routines and important self-care? Because that's huge.
Right. So, first of all, getting good sleep is more important than anything because otherwise, you really aren't going to function at your best. But I will say that I consider my morning routine and my self-care actually part of my workday because I know that if I'm not, because I can see the impact it has on the rest of my day and what my productivity is like. So the way, and you don't have to be a morning person. Your morning routine can start whenever you want it to.
Oh, good.
For me, have always been a morning person. And so I start my morning early between 5 and 6, usually closer to 5. Lately, it seems like I need a little more sleep and the sun's coming up so much later. So it's a little closer to 6, but I like to get that time before the rest of the household wakes up as well. So that is, I have their 2 teenagers now, 14 and 17. So honestly, I start a big glass of water while I'm making my coffee. I do love my coffee every morning. And while I'm drinking my coffee, I, like we talked about in our workshop, I write down the 5 things I'm grateful for every morning. I have a special little journal. Then I write my 10 dreams as if they'd already happened. And these are 10 dreams for 10 years from now. And honestly, that gets me excited about my day. Like, and sometimes I fiddle with them like, oh, actually, something I changed this year is, wow, I don't have anything about my health or fitness. That's kind of weird. So now I have in there, 10 years from now, I'll be 61 and I want to be fit and healthy and exercising every day. So as if it had already happened. And so I get excited. And then the other thing is I try almost every morning to either get out for a walk first thing, or something I added this year since I used to swim in the morning early, and that's not really happening because of COVID. So I got a Nordic track bike, partly because of all the fires and everything. I started to get fit this summer, and then the air quality went down. So sometimes I do that for like even 40 minutes, and I have more energy. I've gotten my heart rate up, and I'm more productive. So, and then I usually follow that with a smoothie, and then I'm rolling for my day, and I feel good.
I love it. Our company has these 10 core commitments, and number one is start your day off right, whatever that means to you. I'm going to put a shameless plug in for one of my colleagues' books. It's Steve Millia's 30 Days in 30 Ways, and 30 Ways in 30 Days. I think that's what it is. And it's awesome because I learned a lot of that from him. So waking up every morning and I'll write my 10 things I'm grateful for, 10 goals I want to accomplish. And then you're kind of off to the races. So I appreciate it's a great reminder. And I wasn't doing that, my first, 20 years of my career, right? Like it's interesting that it has played a huge, huge piece in that. I know you mentioned you have teenagers, and now they're all home and everybody's all locked in together. And I know it's fun. I've been watching you have, some challenges with a pouty teenager and things like that. How do you balance that? Like, I don't have kids. I'm going to be totally transparent. So it's not a big issue for me. But speaking of, my dog wants off my desk. So hold on. She's been barking. I don't know if you've heard her. But here we really are live. So there's my little furry friend.
Oh my gosh.
We go outside. So we're good.
I can hardly wait to meet your dog in person. So cute.
Everywhere. We'll definitely make that happen.
Yeah.
But how do you make that all work, woman? Because every time I see you, I hear piano in the background because one kid's playing piano, the other one's having a meltdown. Your husband's working from home. How do you do the balance thing? People always want to know that.
Yeah. So a lot of it is expectations, and which shift because they're older now. So I'm not, I cannot honestly. It's hard with teenagers because right now I feel like teenagers actually have it the hardest right now because they're not doing any of their normal social things that they would normally do, or, maybe that have one or two friends, but it's super limiting. But so part of it's expectations, and yeah, so to me, it's like, oh yeah, it's easy, but actually it wasn't when I really went all in with my business about 5 years ago. It wasn't easy. They still, they're still like, well, wait, my breakfast, my this, my that. So I really had to be clear that no, this is my work time. And, unless something really big is happening, I need you to respect that this is my work time. And then on the flip side, I also, especially now that they're older and I know that my daughter should be going off to college this next fall, my son in 4.5 years, I also want to be able to spend that time with them. So I also have to respect that my time with them is my time with them. So it took a little while to learn, but I try not to work on the weekends. And I try to mostly have a finish time of 5 or 5:30. I don't always do that, but I let them know if that's going to be the case. Like, okay, this is a big week. And just recently, I really had to have them start like, okay, these nights, I just need you to make dinner, and it can't just be, sauce over pasta. It actually needs to be nutritious. And I said it about like that. But it actually worked. And my husband's getting in there, which he's not a cook. He's like, oh, I'm excited about this now. Weird.
Well, there has been a lot of pivots. I mean, I was never a cooker. People would say, well, if neither one of you cook, what do you eat? I'm like, it's called out. Have you heard of it? I mean, but now, we bought these little meals and we're working on it. And now we kind of know how to cook. I just made something horrible the other day, but at least I tried. So I love that we've done a lot of pivots, right? I mean, it's really been a growth year. And it's interesting because I felt like this whole year was a great opportunity I'm probably taking too many classes, but I took your class. I've taken a manifesting class. I've taken a social media class. I've taken this accelerator class. I am taking a ton of classes. And so I kind of feel like I was pouring all this good stuff into my head. And then I found myself, right? This is on the fly. So this is live. We're going to tell the truth here today, be authentic. I found myself just in the last couple of days, really just in a weird space where everything seemed to trigger me. I'm usually much more in control of my emotions. I know that I haven't been, and I think I look back on it, and part of it is I have two colleagues, one whose son passed away at 19, and one whose, husband's in ICU due to COVID. And I think with the political unrest, I think it's finally, like, after 10 or 11 months, has finally taken its toll on me, which is such a surprise because I didn't realize that any of this was, I'm like, oh, I got this, I'm Superwoman. And all of a sudden I found myself, like, yesterday on a call where I was kind of rude. I'm like, where did that come from? Right. And then, like, a couple of days before, I got so insulted and disrespected that I had a cow as well. And I'm like, usually this stuff doesn't knock me out of the box. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. I'm being totally transparent. So I'm having a moment here this last few days. So what would you recommend for people that, like me right now, that just all of a sudden realize, like, this isn't who I normally am? What is going on here? What can I do? To help me. What can I do to kind of get those emotions back in check and get myself in a good trajectory where I'm not, like, triggered like that all the time?
Right. Well, if you think about it, I mean, your nervous system, it's like, okay, March of 2020, the pandemic, and then the Black Lives Matter and the unrest. And, there's silver linings of all of this. And then, I don't know how much you're affected by, the fires in California, probably at least air quality and, the one day of where it didn't really get light out. And then, and then we're all like, it's going up and down, and now it's kind of at its worst pandemic wise. And then we turn the corner of the new year and it's looking better. It's, we have the vaccines are starting to happen. And so we're on the up, and then the whole political thing just gets super crazy, no matter what side you're on. And, at some point, depending on who you are, it's like it's all too much. So probably the first thing I would recommend is cutting back on the news.
Yeah, I'm good about that, but yeah.
Yeah. Because honestly, I mean, you want to stay informed, but it can be a bit of a rabbit hole, especially if you do start your day with it. So that's one thing, like, I don't like no news in the morning for sure. And then I know you like to walk, so maybe up that, or maybe go twice a day to really get your nervous system kind of like chilled. And then maybe if you can squeeze in some 3-day weekends where you totally unplug, you spend time with your husband, maybe watch some stupid movies instead of actually, we made a rule in our house. Like, I've actually watched more TV. I mean, we don't really watch TV. It's all streaming. But I realized, I actually need to sit down and have a shared experience with my husband and maybe my son. My daughter really won't. But we would look every time inspirational movies. And so we always watch something that's inspirational in some way. And of course, meditation is one of my favorites that I do in the morning. And I do a guided meditation with Deepak Chopra and Oprah that I really like. So I've got a bunch of those. Actually, now they have an app. So I like to have a theme to my meditation.
Yeah, I have the app. I have the free version of it, and
yeah,
pretty good. I mean, you get a lot in there for the free version of it,
yeah.
and so I know there's always this, like, messiness, right? So there's, like, where you are and where you want to be, and I never ever arrive. So I'm always like, okay, then I hit a milestone. Like, I just hit a big milestone on Friday. And everyone's like, oh, you can take a little time. I'm like, no, I'm going to hit the next one. Like, so I never, ever arrive. And I'm one of those people that just loves to climb the next mountain. But there's always a gap between, like, okay, here I am, whether it's like, I want to lose weight and this is where I want to be, or whether I just hit a milestone. Now I want to hit this next milestone. And there's always this gap in between. How would you recommend, because we know what to do, right? Why don't we do it? That's the biggest thing. Like, we know in, like, my company, there's a a system. You do 2 to 5 appointments or exposures a day. You do this and that. So we, and like eat less, move more. So we know what to do. We know how to do it. There's a gap between why we'll do it and get where we want to go. That is just mind boggling to me. And I would love some insights from a coach, high performance coach, on what is that and how can we bridge that gap faster?
Right. Well, I'd like to address the first thing you said about hitting your milestone and then going for the next one, which I think is awesome. Like, you get so much joy from having something you're working towards. But if you don't stop for a moment, and I don't mean you necessarily have to take time off, but if you don't stop for a moment and really celebrate, then it can at some point become a slog. And that's how people get burned out, is because you don't ever, it's just this, like, if you don't stop and celebrate you graduated from high school, and then celebrate that you graduated from college, celebrate all those milestones, then it's just this long, and you get to 50 or 60. Like, I work with a lot of, middle-aged people, and you're like, how did I even get here? What am I doing? All of that. So definitely celebrate your wins, whether they're big or small. You could celebrate every Friday a win if you wanted to, because I'm sure there's something. And then as far as that gap between what you should do and actually doing it, honestly, most people do sort of know what to do. Maybe they need to make it a little bit different, but they know what to do. And so actually doing it, really, accountability is the biggest part of it. And so accountability can mean looking at who you're surrounding yourself with, and surrounding yourself with people that you're wanting to up level to, that do that. Like, if you want to be healthier and eat good food, you got to surround yourself with people that are healthy and eat good food. Otherwise, you're going to be struggling all the time. Of course, now we're kind of not eating food with other people that much. So it's different. So that's, you've heard that term, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. So surrounding yourself with people that you want to up level yourself to. And then of course, making, you can't really do this now, but making dates with people. I'll go walking with a friend, and we have our masks on. I don't do it super often because honestly, it's hard to breathe that long in a mask, for sure. And then, of course, having a coach is huge, because they'll do what a friend doesn't do. A friend's not necessarily going to call you out, or they're not going to call you out as often as a coach would do. Not that that's the only thing that a coach does, but really having somebody that really cares that you move ahead. Sometimes your friends are perfectly happy with you staying where you are. So, I know, I coach, but I have a coach. I have another high performance coach that we meet, virtually, really twice a week, because I coach her and she coaches me. And it's amazing. I coach, it's very curriculum based. And even though we both know, we should know what's coming, it's amazing the insights we get from coaching each other.
I think there's a lot of confusion about what coaching is. We've never done it.
Yeah.
And just for the audience today that's never, what is it? What is coaching? And I know there's a lot of different focuses, whether it's business or whether it's health or whatever. In a nutshell, overlying, explain to people, what is a coach?
So a coach is really somebody that is going to help you get towards your goals. I mean, that's whatever your goals are. I know there are different kinds of coaches. I started as a health coach, and then now I'm a high performance coach. And really, for me, what that is it's a type of life coach. So it can be anywhere from getting on the phone with somebody every single week and them asking you, okay, so like, what's going on this week? Did you do this, this, and this? And holding you accountable. That's a little part of what I do, but I'm a little bit more, like I said, curriculum based, going through the high performance habits and, depending on how long we work together, going through other sessions, which no matter what goals you're trying to achieve, whether it's health goals or relationship goals or work goals, business goals, financial goals, that curriculum really works with all of it. And so it's more directed, like a personal development curriculum. But basically it's having somebody that's holding you to reaching and achieving your goals.
Awesome. Now, speaking of goals, the last question I have for you in the few minutes we have remaining is, you did your masterful workshop, and it is the beginning of the year, and I kind of like being able to reset some things. I know you don't have a lot of time, so you can't do our whole 2-hour goal setting, but if you had a couple of tips for people that maybe have set some goals, maybe would like to revamp them, or maybe haven't set them, what are some tips just on goal setting? And I have to get my dog, so I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So,
so I would say the biggest thing is set some time aside to really brainstorm, like whether you do 5 years or 10 years out. And I do that far out because I feel like you kind of don't know we've had a year that, wow, we really didn't know what was happening. But even on a personal level, you really don't know necessarily what's going to happen year to year. Like, obstacles come up that you didn't expect. And so by going out 5 or 10 years, like this past year, it didn't affect my dreams for 10 years from now. Really, I may have made some slight changes, but they didn't really affect them. So spend some time, like, who do you want to be? Where do you want to be living? Who do you want to be hanging out with? Where do you want to be going on vacation? Start there and then work backwards and say, okay, what's one goal that I could achieve in the next 3 to 6 months that get me closer to those dreams? And I really think, in general, trying to really focus in on one goal at a time is most effective. And then write those down. So that's the last thing I write down: my 10 dreams as if they'd already happened, and one goal I'm trying to achieve now. Because it helps, and it helps filter out the fluff that might lead you in some random direction too.
Yeah, well, with every year that I work on myself, I realize that I got more work to do.
Everybody does. Everybody does.
Oh, you never arrive, so that's a good thing.
No, it's not a straight line.
It's always a work in progress, for sure.
Yeah.
As we end this time together, I've really enjoyed it. You're amazing and really down to earth. How can people engage with you? So they said, you know what, this is cool. This really makes sense. I love the modality and the integration. How can they engage with you?
So you can go to my website, crystalobregon.com, easy peasy. And that'll pretty much get you everywhere you want to go. I have a weekly blog that I do, and then you'll see the links for a Facebook page. And I have a Facebook group just for women that's really focused on that well-being part of high performance. And yeah. And
That's
if you're
awesome.
working on it, I've got something going on that's starting today, a Success Habits reboot. So you can find that by going to crystalobregon.com.
Great. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. We hit the half an hour, and I want to thank the audience who hung in there with us for the whole time. We appreciate you. And we'll be back next week on Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, again, all time zones in between, with another great speaker. I'm super excited. So with that, thank you for attending. Crystal, blessings, safety, and much success to you and your world. And just appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Take charge. We'll see you guys over the top. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.